When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Hello, and welcome back to In Cold Pursuit, a disturbed true horror production. Here we'll tell you the stories of those long forgotten, whose sudden demise are as tragic as they are intriguing. You'll learn about previously unsolved cases, perpetrators who walked free for decades, and the new revelations that have changed everything. I'm your host, Doug Bailey, and this is In Cold Pursuit. Listener discretion advised. Today, we're traveling back to the Whitechapel district of London to look at one of the most infamous serial murder cases of all time. The case of Jack the Ripper. The chilling series of events known as the Whitechapel Murders began in the late summer of 1888. Around 1 a.m. on August 31st, Mary Ann Nichols, also known as Polly, was kicked out of her lodging for the night, unable to pay for a bed. She was a divorced mother of 5 that had seen a string of difficult years. After separating from her ex-husband due to her drinking and his infidelity, she frequently bounced between housekeeping jobs and places to stay, unable to keep either for long. She spent stretches of time on the street and supplemented her income with work as a prostitute. With no place to stay at 1 a.m., she went off into the night to find work. Just 2 hours later, her body was discovered. She was laying on her back in Bucks Row, Whitechapel. Her eyes were open, her legs were straight, and her skirt was raised above the knee. It was so dark that a passerby initially mistook her as a tarp laying on the cold cobblestone. The murder sent shockwaves through the impoverished district, sparking widespread fear amongst the residents. Initially, it was incorrectly linked to 2 previous killings, but Polly had no known enemies, and there was no obvious motive for her death. Newspapers speculated about her murder being linked to gangs, while others used it to go after the police commissioner. Just over a week later, another body was found. On the morning of September 8th, a woman named Annie Chapman was found lying dead in the backyard of another's home at 29 Hanbury Street. Annie had moved to Whitechapel in 1884 after separating from her husband. They had lost their child Emily at age 12, leading them both to turn to heavy drinking. Annie sustained herself through crochet work, making chair covers, selling flowers, and prostitution. Local law enforcement immediately noticed that her throat was cut in the very same way as Nichols a week prior. But the murderer had gone even further this time. Her abdomen had been sliced open, and her intestines had been draped over each of her shoulders. Whitechapel had been shaken to its core, and it wouldn't have time to recover. Only a few weeks later, the murderer struck again. On September 30th, Elizabeth Stride, better known to her friends as Long Liz, was found dead in Dutfield's yard. She was a housekeeper, seamstress, and occasional prostitute who frequently received charges for being drunk and disorderly. In the hours before her death, she was seen quenching her thirst at the nearby Queen's Head pub. She was found with her throat cut in a similar manner to Polly and Annie, but unlike the previous victims, she had no further damage. Investigators began theorizing that the murderer had been interrupted during the act. Barely an hour after Stride's discovery, the mutilated body of Catherine Eddowes was found in nearby Mitre Square. She was a penniless, divorced mother of 4 and grandmother of 1. Her marriage was said to have fallen apart due to either Catherine's excessive drinking or her husband's violent nature, depending on which family was telling the story. Catherine had been living with her partner, Thomas, for 7 years at the time of her death, and he insisted she had never earned a living as a prostitute. But the facts are unclear. She was found with her throat cut, her abdomen slashed, and both her left kidney and part of her uterus removed. She was mutilated so quickly and quietly that no one in the nearby buildings was disturbed. This double murder on the same night intensified the panic in Whitechapel. The people wondered, who would the killer target next? The night after the double homicide, someone wrote a letter to a journalist claiming to be the murderer. He called himself Jack the Ripper. The paper published this letter, and the nickname quickly caught on. Although people disputed the letter's authenticity, and some of the letters that followed, the label stuck. The investigation into these murders was unprecedented for its time, involving thousands of policemen, numerous house-to-house inquiries, and the interviewing of countless individuals. Public fascination and fear led to a flurry of letters purportedly from the killer. Many of these were hoaxes, but some, like the From Hell letter, which contained a human kidney and was sent to the chairman of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, is one of the few that was taken under serious consideration. The final and arguably most gruesome of Jack the Ripper's murders occurred shortly after his nickname was established. On November 9th, 1888, Mary Jane Kelly's body was found in her room at 13 Miller's Court off Dorset Street. Mary was 25, quite attractive, and worked at a high-class brothel on the West End. Like many of the other victims, she also made money as a housekeeper, but she wasn't known to have a drinking problem. The scene of her murder was horrific. Her body was extensively mutilated, and her organs were removed and strewn around the room. Her killer had ample time to carry out his gruesome work, undisturbed. The proximity, short time frame, and similar nature of these murders told investigators that this was the work of one man. More murder victims would be added to the Whitechapel files, but their connection to what would be called the Canonical Five was contested by historians and criminologists as time went on. One name that consistently surfaced in the annals of Jack the Ripper theories is Aaron Kosminski. Born in Congress, Poland, he immigrated to England with his family in 1881 to flee the anti-Jewish pogroms. He settled in Whitechapel, the very district terrorized by the Ripper. Described as a barber and hairdresser, Kosminski's life took a dark turn as he reportedly suffered from mental illness, characterized by auditory hallucinations, paranoid delusions, and a deep-seated misogyny. Chief Inspector Donald Swanson, who was involved in the original investigation, identified Kosminski as a suspect in his private notes, claiming he was the individual the police believed to be the Ripper. Another key figure, Assistant Chief Constable Sir Melville Macnaughton, also listed Kosminski as one of the 3 primary suspects. The evidence against him at the time was circumstantial, based largely on an eyewitness identification that, for reasons unknown, never led to a formal charge. The witness, believed to be Israel Schwartz, was said to have seen Eddowes with a man shortly before her murder, and allegedly identified Kosminski. However, this identification wasn't deemed strong enough for prosecution, perhaps due to Kosminski's mental state or lack of corroborating evidence. Despite the exhaustive efforts of police forces, public vigilance, and widespread panic, no one was ever brought to justice for the Whitechapel murders. Numerous suspects, including Kosminski, were identified over the years, ranging from local butchers and doctors to members of the aristocracy, but none could be definitively proven to be the elusive killer. Kosminski went on to be institutionalized at Colney Hatch Lunatic Asylum in 1890, where he remained until his death in 1919. Jack the Ripper had gotten away with it. But something changed in 2019. A study in the Journal of Forensic Sciences was able to conduct DNA analysis of a silk shawl found near the body of Catherine Eddowes, Jack's 4th victim. Scientists compared mitochondrial DNA from the shawl's stains to DNA samples from the descendants of both Eddowes and Kosminski, their primary suspect. The results matched Kosminski's lineage. The analysis also suggested the killer had brown hair and brown eyes, which matched eyewitness accounts. Still, this evidence was not enough to reach a definitive conclusion in the eyes of many. One key area of contention concerns the provenance of the shawl, as it is uncertain whether this item truly belonged to Catherine Eddowes or was even present at the crime, given the contemporary police reports make no mention of it. The shawl's history raises further questions about potential contamination, as it had been handled by numerous individuals over the decades, potentially introducing other DNA into the mix. The type of DNA tested, mitochondrial DNA, also presents a limitation because while it can establish maternal lineage, it cannot uniquely identify an individual, meaning many people could share the same sequence. Adding to these concerns, the study's lack of transparency regarding specific genetic variants and raw data make independent verification of the findings difficult. And so, despite all the scientific advancements, the identity of Jack the Ripper remains shrouded in mystery. Whether future discoveries will shed definitive light on the case, or if it will remain one of history's greatest unsolved puzzles, only time will tell. However, the chilling tale of Jack the Ripper will continue to captivate and intrigue for generations. Thank you for joining us for another episode of In Cold Pursuit, a production of the Disturbed True Horror team at Killer Podcasts. I'm your host, Doug Bailey. Our producer is Declan Roars. Research and scripting by Sean Rule Hoffman. Audio engineering by Nate Corson and Will Pritz. Check out more exclusive content on our Patreon at patreon.com/disturbedpodcast. And hey, stay safe out there.